May I please have your full and undivided attention? It is time for the Paranormal Rundown. Hello, this is Cedric Dankworth-Smythe. I would like to take this opportunity to welcome all fans of the paranormal, the supernatural, the unusual, the entertaining, the terrifying, the horrifying, and those things that go bump in the night and in the daytime too. This is the one and only Paranormal Rundown, where the lads, the gang of nerds, choose from over 2,700 carefully curated paranormal topics. Tonight, we have the incredible privilege of having Maxim Furek as our guest. He's a well-known author and an avid student of the paranormal. Plus, he has a very cool name, Maxim. I like that. That could be my middle name. Cedric Maxim Dankworth-Smythe. That really flows, don't you think? Let's get started.
Hello, this is Vic Hermanson, coming at you with Season 3, Episode 1 of the Paranormal Rundown. Dave, this is... How many total rundowns have we done? This is something like 54?
I think this could be episode 46.
Oh, it's 46. Okay, so we've done 46 episodes. Okay, we are blessed tonight to have, and David, I'm going to let you say his name. I think it's Maxim Furek.
Maxim Furek, yes.
I got it
Perfect.
Correct.
You guys are good.
So, Maxim Furek is an author here in Pennsylvania, where I reside. And so before we get to the random part of the Paranormal Rundown, let's go to Maxim and get him to introduce himself and talk about his latest book, if that's okay with all you guys.
Absolutely.
Sounds great.
Yeah, well, I come from a background, I was a former psychologist, but rather than doing all the stuff that psychologists typically do, like depression tests and personality disorder testing and all that, MMPIs, I work specifically in addictions, and I say addictions and recovery. And I contend that one of the most powerful things that a human being can do is when they change their behavior in a positive manner and stop doing some of these addictions, whether they're substances like heroin or alcohol, or the behaviors like sex, eating, shopping, whatever. I mean, there's what we talk about maladaptive behaviors. I mean, rather than doing something that has a long-term effect, a positive effect, a lot of times we'll do things that will give us that short little hit, whether it's the drugs or the sex or whatever. So people that I dealt with, I would ask these folks that had been in recovery from alcoholism over the years or from heroin addiction, how did you get into recovery? And so many of them would say, I don't know, it was a miracle. And what that was that, we talk about a bottom, like a rational person will go and maybe get drunk, hit bottom, and then their wife or boyfriend or whatever will threaten to kick him out of the house, or they might face losing their job or losing their house or their car or whatever. But if a person's really into the throes of addiction, it doesn't matter. It's just another bump in the road. It doesn't matter if I lost my wife, doesn't matter if I lost my house, doesn't matter if I'm living in the gutter, I still got my dope. But some of these people just realize at some point something happens. They talk about that aha experience, that awareness. And some people just get it and they stop using the drug. And again, it's something that you talked about the Paranormal Rundown, not being able to explain some of the things. Well, like with recovery, a lot of it is unexplainable. It just happens. Somebody will say, well, would you like to go to a meeting with me? Or whatever it is, whatever little thing it is. But anyway, I've heard this from numerous people. And yes, I think that Jung was correct, and William James, the great American psychologist who believed that everything was spiritual, that everything was godlike. And, in the 21st century, we've gotten away from God and we've gotten more into technology and, white noise and everything else. But, back in the old days, spirituality was the keystone of recovery. And, believing in, if not Jesus Christ or Allah or Buddha, believing in a higher power was what was recommended for people that were addicted. So anyway, I was blessed to have been able to have worked in that field, to have co-hosted Alcoholics Anonymous with my friend Ed, my friend and mentor Ed H. God bless him. He was just a wonderful man who taught me everything I know about the disease of alcoholism. But that was my background. So, I was a rock journalist. And, we talk about sex, drugs, and rock and roll. I wrote a number of books about rock and roll, looking at rock through a sociological lens. And that was fun and that was successful. But back in 2016, I came out with a book, Shepton, The Myth, Miracle, and Music. And that talked about the paranormal aspects of a mine disaster in Pennsylvania, and that happened in 1963. So that book, the Shepton mythology, that came out in 2016, 9 years ago, opened up the doors. And again, I want to say this. I didn't go looking for the paranormal. It stalked me and hit me over the head. It found me. I didn't go looking for it, but here it is 9 years later. And, since the Shepton mythology, I wrote Co-Region Hoodoo, Flying Saucer Esoteric, The Lost Tribes of Bigfoot, the Schmerl Haunting, just came out 2 days ago. And again, I know I'm being long-winded and nuts, crazy, but in the end of September, Paranormal Apocalypse. Is this how it ends? Well, and I hope you guys could see this. I know your listeners can, but could you see that?
I can see it just fine.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Is this how it ends? There's the gray as a Grim Reaper.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that imagery.
That's a pretty good image. Yeah.
And for some of you newly ordained, priests out there, my book talks about the end times. It talks about the four horsemen of the apocalypse. It talks about the seven seals. And it talks about, I just learned this term recently, eschatology.
Eschatology.
Eschatology. Yeah.
Study of the end times.
It is, excuse me, eschatology. Eschatology.
Eschatology. Okay, those
Yes,
folks that are concerned with the end times.
Right.
Eschatology. And so I look at it and, I talk about, how's it going to end? I mean, I don't know, but I mean, it could be wars, it could be famine, it could be a pandemic, it could be man-made, it could be a meteor, it could be a whole lot of things.
All of the above.
Yeah.
All of the above. So I claim that a lot of us are walking around in fear, predicated by either religion or politics or society, and I talk about H.P. Lovecraft, who said the most basic emotion of man is fear, and the most powerful emotion is fear of the unknown. H.P. Lovecraft. So I talk about that, and anyway, that is Paranormal Apocalypse. Is this how it ends? And that will be released. I believe that's the end of September. It's being formatted and the stuff that they do. So anyway, I'm excited because I have 2 books coming out.
Are these available in an audiobook format?
Well, I don't know about the Schmerl Haunting. That just came out. It's on Amazon, The Schmerl Haunting by Maxim W. Furek, F-U-R-E-K. So that's available. And that's only been out for a couple of days, and it already has a review, which is kind of cool. But I don't know if there's going to be an audiobook, but I hope so, because they can do that with AI. They could just run
they could run it with AI.
I would love to have Paranormal Apocalypse on audio format. The reason why is I've had a couple of strokes, and thank God I'm not affected by it. But cognitive wise, when I hear a book, I can comprehend it more than reading. That don't make sense to me, but you as a psychiatrist would understand what I'm talking about.
Well, no, not a psychiatrist, but as a guy that worked in addictions. So I mean, don't give me any credit for anything that I don't have. No, I mean, yeah. And what I did and what I have was quite enough. I mean, working in addiction / recovery. But yeah, okay. Maybe it will be. I don't know if the Lost Tribes of Bigfoot is in audio. I mean, some of my books
I'll
are.
check them out. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. But they're all on Amazon, and yeah, it's fun. I've been getting a tiny bit of recognition as a paranormal guy, so that's kind of neat.
Well, it's when we heard from you about coming on the show. That was one of the things that I loved about it right off the bat was you hit like all the main paranormal topics in your book. Right. It's not like you have ghost books. It's not like you do UFO books. Like you got Bigfoot, you got ghosts, all of it.
Yeah.
And we love that depth and background and ideas.
Yeah, but I'll say this, out of all that stuff, David, out of flying saucers and Bigfoot and cryptids and all that, the thing that speaks to me the most is demonology. I mean,
oh, wow.
Miracles, apparitions, Padre Pio, St. Teresa of Avila. God, what a gal. St. Teresa of Avila, that the nuns had to hold her down because she was levitating. She believed that through prayer and meditation, you could reach certain states of rapture, ecstasy, and flight of the soul and out of body experience. And this is through dedication. That's all you do. You pray and meditate. You don't have a 9-to-5 job. You're not driving your car or going to the laundromat. You're just praying and meditating. But she was just such a incredible person. And I have a chapter about St. Teresa of Avila in my book, Coleridge and Hoodoo. And with that book, I try to take spiritual themes and paranormal themes and put them a little bit closer to scientific themes. So that was what I was attempting to do.
That's one thing that impresses me so much. I love Padre Pio as well. And to me, it was the piety that he showed. And his time spent in although he loved celebrating Mass, his go-to every day, he loved spending time in the confessional.
Yep.
And that to me is what, not just Mass, don't get me wrong, but spending time in the confessional to hear the heart, to not just hear it, but to truly hear it, if that makes sense, to hear a person pour out their soul and to help them, but at the end say, you know what, you're forgiven. And oh, by the way, pray for me, a sinner.
Yeah.
That's my anchor, if you will, to look at someone and say, pray for me, a sinner. Because that helps me personally stay grounded. I'm not trying to make this all about me, but that's why I like Padre Pio so much, was his fervor in the confessional.
Yeah. And also the fact that he was really challenged. It was almost like Job, that not only did he have the stigmata, but on top of that, the rubberneckers, people would come to church, not just to hear the Mass and get confessed, but to see him bleeding. And the Vatican couldn't figure out what's going on here in Italy with this church, with this guy. Thousands of people are coming to see this person, this Padre Pio, and he's convinced thousands of people. They thought that his delusions are real, and they didn't know what to do with him. And they even they wrapped gauze around his wounds for like 6 or 7 days, waiting to take him off to see that it was all scabbed over, to show that he was just like as human as you and I. And he's still bleeding. He's still bleeding. So but on top of all the stuff that he was going through, I mean, there was a lot of castigation with his own brothers who took the same vows and believed in this, had faith in the same God. I mean, they didn't believe in him. They
wanted to prove him a heretic and say he was faking it all. Yeah. That's amazing. amazing to me.
Yeah. And even with, just when I was working on Flying Saucer Esoteric, it's sort of an encyclopedia of flying saucers from the days before Christ to the congressional hearings. And in the days before Christ, with people like Copernicus, now Copernicus was born too early, so he didn't have a chance to get spanked. But with people like Galileo, they put him on house arrest. Bruno, they burned him at the stake only because he said that Earth went around the sun, not the sun went around the Earth, because we were in God's image, that everything was godlike, and Earth, of course, had to be the center of everything. Well, it wasn't, and if you spoke out against church and state, you could die for it, and Bruno did, so that's a heretic. I mean, I don't know, and what about even today? People that are afraid to say, "I saw something," of what people are going to say to them. So it's kind of
one thing that stuck out to me, and I'm sorry, Vic, Dave, I'm running my mouth too much. I apologize, but I've got to get this in before I forget it. One thing that struck out to me. Well, let me back up just for a humorous moment. When Dave said Maxim, Furek is coming on, the first thing I thought of, Maxim. Oh, and he's an author. I said, Maxim. I thought back to the 80s of Maxim magazine.
Yeah.
Is this the guy?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But
that's a completely different kind of interview.
Different thing. But one of your books, it mentioned abductions. And that's been one thing that's always been real hard for me to grasp, to think that people have really been abducted by aliens. I would, if it's okay with the guys, I would like to hear a little bit of that.
Yeah, well, I'll give you both sides of it, which is kind of interesting. In my book, The Lost Tribes of Bigfoot, and Lost Tribes is a metaphor for all the things that they think Bigfoot might be, like Neanderthal, Gigantopithecus, Australopithecus, all that. But I have a chapter there on Albert Ostman. In 1924, he was up in British Columbia. I believe he was a Swedish-Canadian hunter-trapper. And someone was messing around with his campsite, stealing things, mucking it up and all that. So what he did was he hid inside a sleeping bag with his rifle, and he was going to wait until this culprit came and he was going to jump out and shoot the dude. Well, he fell asleep. Albert Ostman fell asleep, and something hoisted him up and took him over hill and dale, left him in a valley. And here it was a family of Sasquatch, a mother, father, a daughter, and son. And the female Sasquatch they were all curious. She fed him sweet grass. And this is 1924, and he got the idea that they were going to use him for procreation purposes. They thought that they want to have sex with him, so he freaked out. Albert Ostman had,
just a little,
and so he had chewing tobacco. So he enticed the older Sasquatch to try this tobacco, and the Sasquatch got sick. Ostman hightailed it out of there and went back home, and it was a couple of miles, but at any rate, he didn't say anything, and he wasn't out after publicity.
Hello, this is Avalon Leanne Danquah Smythe. I am so very happy to be back in the wonderful world of the Paranormal Rundown. It's been a while. In 1958, Ostman began publicly recounting his experience with the family of massive, hairy creatures that has so adroitly abducted him. His first audience was composed of 75 community leaders at the Agassiz Harrison Board of Trade. Here is a quote from the Chilliwack Progress that was published March 26, 1958. He found that he had been carried by a creature, human in appearance, about 8 feet tall and weighing an estimated 700 to 800 pounds. The creature, whom Ostman said resembled an Indian or an Eskimo in facial characteristics, had a flattish nose, large cheekbones, overly long arms, and legs that were proportionately shorter than a human being. It was covered all over with hair about 4 inches in length and ranging up to 6 inches. Only bare patches were around the eyes, palms of the hands and soles of the feet, which were like dog pads. The forehead sloped back sharply, then rose. Muscular development was terrific, with extremely powerful shoulders and deep armpits. Palms of the hands were cupped in the form of a bowl. Fingernails were flat. I can't help but wondering about the olfactory characteristics of deep Bigfoot armpits after years in the deep wilderness.
And then there started to be accounts in British Columbia about these hairy creatures that the coastal peoples called Sasquatch. So Albert Ostman sought out John Green. He was the British Columbian journalist, and John Green is one of the original 4 horsemen of Sasquatchery. These are the guys that did the actual pioneering, the investigations whenever there were reports of these cryptid creatures. John Green interviewed Albert Ostman, and he claimed that what he was saying was valid and correct. And what's interesting, this is in the days before computers, before microfiche, before any one of us could get on Google and type in Bigfoot and find out what they look like and sound like, and and become an expert on that. Ostman didn't have that privilege, that ability. So he talked about the family structure. A lot of people that report Bigfoot sightings talk about just solitary creatures, not family structures. Ostman's was different. Most people talk about the stench. They smell like rotten eggs, like wet dogs, like whatever, fecal matter. Ostman's Sasquatches didn't. And again, maybe, as the theories go, maybe they use the smell mechanism as a weapon, to keep us away. Or as somebody else said, that maybe Bigfoot is an interdimensional being, and when they enter our dimension, they bring with them that stench that is representative of that dimension. So again, take your pick. I don't know. But anyway, 1924, Albert Ostman gets abducted, and that's it. It's one and done. One and done. So flash forward to, I believe it's 1961, Betty and Barney Hill, and they're driving through the White Mountains in New Hampshire, and they had some missing time. Something happened on the way from there to their home. And they went eventually, and they were having some nightmares and some untoward things. They went to a psychiatrist from Boston, and this guy put them through regressive hypnosis and determined that they were taken aboard a spacecraft and probed. So that was in 1961. And they're pretty much infamous for the abductee thing. But look what happened in 1961. You had people like Whitney Strieber. You had John Mack from Harvard. You had all these people that were stepping forward and writing books and validating all of these abductee cases. And then you had all these other people saying, yes, I too have been abducted, by these aliens and probed. So it became what? It became a cottage industry. It became a cult following. It became a religion. It became something else. But what happened with Bigfoot, what didn't happen with Bigfoot happened with ufology. So there, again, 1924 versus 1961, interesting parallels. Gentlemen, your comments, please.
I'm just listening. One thing that struck me, though, was when you mentioned the people talking about the smell, and that just automatically took me to Vic's story, and that'd be something that you two guys could talk about sometime if Vic be willing.
I'm always willing. It doesn't change any. It's just
right. It just. That just kind of. I'm like, okay.
Maxim. Just to take away the mystery, I encountered something in southern Australia.
Oh wow!
While I was down there hiking, and it had aspects of sort of the American Bigfoot, but it had aspects of. It was about that size, but it had aspects of not being like the American Bigfoot at all.
Is that what's known as the Yowie?
Yeah, they would call that a Yowie in Australia.
Yeah.
But the smell with this thing was something that it could control. And it didn't behave like a normal smell.
Huh.
So I'm not sure there was a smell at all. I'm thinking that it had the ability to make me perceive that I was smelling something.
Okay.
But you're right. They do always. That's one of the standard things they talk about with the American Bigfoot.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things I found interesting last 10 years has been that the idea of Bigfoot, the idea of Sasquatches, has expanded from the Pacific Northwest to the rest of the United States.
Right.
I mean, there's hardly anywhere in the United States where they don't claim to have Bigfoot sightings now.
Yeah, one state.
Which is Hawaii, I guess, right?
Well, very good. Yeah, Hawaii, yeah.
But
the four the most prevalent sightings of Bigfoot and skunk ape are Washington State, California, Pennsylvania, and Florida. Those four. And Pennsylvania has a lot of weirdness in the western part of the state, what they call Chestnut Ridge, and where they had the Kecksburg flap in December of 1965. So just a lot of crazy things happening there in this small area in western Pennsylvania, from a slice through the mountains from Pittsburgh down to West Virginia. Just a crazy thing. And not just Bigfoot sightings, but Bigfoot in conjunction with orbs or flying saucers.
Sure.
Now, when I first heard that, I said, no, that's ridiculous. I don't believe it. But there's so many of them, and we have a guy back in western Pennsylvania named Stan Gordon, and Stan he writes all these books and everything, very dry, very academic, but I mean, because he's not a very good writer, but what he gives you is data like this, like at 6 o'clock in the evening, Farmer and Mrs. Brown went out to the farm, the barn, to feed the cow, and there they saw this Bigfoot-like creature emerging from an orb. Now, Stan has countless examples of that, where he'll tell you the time of day and where and what happened. So he brings that depth to this paranormal tapestry. And but again, it's all academic stuff. A friend of mine, a neighbor, 2 years ago spotted 2 Bigfoot creatures here in Luzerne County, Pennsylvania, where I'm from, northeastern Pennsylvania. One was cinnamon, which was larger, and one was black. And I asked Joe several times how they acted, and they looked at him like they were curious, and then they turned and they walked away like human beings, like bipedal. And I went out there looking for tracks and everything, and there was like a pathway, a trail where utility workers would go. So it wasn't, it was remote, but I couldn't find any tracks. But I called Stan Gordon, who called my friend Joe and took the report and then documented it. So that's what Stan does. But what's interesting, out in Western PA, if you see a flying saucer or a UAP or a cryptid, and you call the state police, they'll say, well, just here, call Stan Gordon. So here's Stan's number, because Stan seems to be the man, that's keeping it. So we're fortunate to have a guy like him in the western part of the state, So in western Pennsylvania, there are countless Bigfoot people, countless Bigfoot campouts. It's turned into, it's like a shark frenzy. I mean, every weekend there's another get together, let's get together and sing Kumbaya and go looking for Sasquatch. So it's, it's pretty big. It's become an industry, and
Yes.
I think at some point it's going to get tapped out, because at least in Western PA, there's just too much of it. So anyway, but people are having fun, and they're going out there, and they're and they're looking.
Well, and they find stuff. I have some folks we know in northwestern Pennsylvania. We used to go up to a place called Hillview Manor in Newcastle.
Okay, Newcastle.
and investigate that. And we had friends that we met up there, and they went from ghost hunting to Bigfoot to Squatching. And
Wow.
they put pictures out there of some of the stuff, the structures and things they found, and that bleeds all the way over into Ohio from there too, right? I mean, Ohio's got a lot of reports.
Yeah,
in those
Pennsylvania,
areas.
Ohio, and West Virginia are just a lot of weirdness there. But Chestnut Ridge certainly. And then what's interesting with there was a guy, the last guy to be executed in Pennsylvania, from Philadelphia. He was the dungeon guy. Remember, he kept all these women in a dungeon. And,
Vaguely, yes.
Yeah, okay, I'm trying to think. I'm blocking on his name. But anyway, he was the guy that they used as the role model for Buffalo Bill in Silence of the Lambs. So anyway, when they shot this, they shot it in Fayette County, Pennsylvania, which is out in Chestnut Ridge. So there's another element of weirdness. I mean, it's just like, it's just like it's in the water, something going on there. So it's just crazy. But
Well, Dave, you live in Florida, so God knows what's in the Okefenokee.
Yeah, I don't wander around in the swamps.
Dave, what part of Florida?
I'm over in I'm south of St. Augustine, sort of between St. Augustine and Daytona.
Okay, yeah. I'm on the other side. I'm in Citrus County.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a snowbird. So.
Okay.
Well, Vic, shall we?
Well, hang on.
Okay. Oh, go ahead.
Maxim, if you look at your Zoom window, there's a button down at the bottom called Chat. If you click on that,
Zoom. Okay, I see it. Okay, yeah.
Okay, click on that, and a new panel will open up.
Oh, yeah.
And I've sent you two things, one of which I'm just about certain you've already seen many, many times, which is a Canadian newspaper article about the Sasquatch, written in, I don't know, somewhere in the 30s, it seems. This article showed up in hundreds of papers across the country, and they're talking about the Sasquatch as essentially being a primitive tribe of people.
Oh, wow, okay.
And they had, migratory patterns, very specific ways of dealing. They were, a whole tribe of 7'6" pissed off giants.
Yeah.
And so you can download that from there if that would be useful to you.
Absolutely, yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I want to. And that's the Sasquatch, Alberta.
Yeah,
That's Osmond. No, that's and John Green. Okay, you're talking about Gary Heidneck. Okay, Gary Heidneck is the guy that was the last person that was executed, and they used him as the role model
for Buffalo Bill.
Yeah, and then who's coming up with this? Is that Joshua?
That's Father Josh. Yes.
Yeah.
Good. Hey, good work, man. That's good.
Well, Vic came up with the newspaper stuff, but I'm amazed at the old articles that Vic finds on newspapers on the net.
I should just share my folder with you. I've got
that's amazing.
Hundreds of Sasquatch articles in mainstream newspapers going back to 1800.
Wow.
What's interesting with us, I guess, with us white folks, is that we didn't hear about Bigfoot until 1958. The Humboldt Times had a article, and they were talking about the California abominable snowman, and they found some tracks there up in Northern California. So this was the first time that the word Bigfoot was in print. That was 1958. And all these people started to write in and say, I believe in this, and I've seen the California abominable snowman. But it hit the wire services, and something like over 1,000 people responded to the Humboldt Times. It became huge news. And that 1958, word Bigfoot going into our vocabulary was similar to 1947 when flying saucer entered the lexicon. I mean, two red letter dates. But what's interesting about Bigfoot is that 58, it was new to us, but when they started to talk to people in British Columbia and the coastal peoples, the thing called Sasquatch, which we were calling Bigfoot, had been around for thousands of years.
Sure.
Wow.
and that it was a sacred thing to see a Sasquatch, and that Sasquatch took care of the environment, and that Sasquatch could shape shift into different structures, and just it was very, very weird, very strange. I mean, it seemed like this Sasquatch creature had paranormal abilities. And even today, people talk about that. People that claim that they speak with Bigfoot claim that they speak with them telepathically, claim that Bigfoot has bilocation or rapid transport, that you can see them in front of you and then they're behind you. You know, just things like that, paranormal abilities. And my personal belief is that it may be flesh and blood, but it's interdimensional, and that it shape shifts in between these dimensions, and that's why we have a hard time seeing them. So that's, you know, the best I have. And you know, and let's face it, as podcasters, as people that are involved in the paranormal, we look at all these theories, these hypotheses, and we say, wait a second, this makes more sense than any others. And I think I was influenced by Jacques Vallée, who, when he was talking about flying saucers, he was saying that, well, this extraterrestrial hypothesis doesn't work anymore. I mean, it's almost lame. It's passé to think that these craft could go trillions of light years from wherever to Earth, that anybody would have the technical know-how, the energy, the propulsion, whatever, you know, the stamina to do that. So
No.
well, I mean, no, we don't.
Yeah, that's. I mean,
But he didn't believe it. So he said that a more plausible thing was, and Michael, I don't hear what you have to say, but
okay.
The more plausible thing was that the interdimensional theory, and remember, it was Einstein and Rosen who had the bridge theory back in the 30s, that if you could punch a hole through the space-time continuum and have a bridge, or what they now call a wormhole, that you could get from A to B in microseconds. So that's, now again, it's a theory.
But that doesn't require a different dimension, though, right? I mean, that could be within this universe, right? But
I don't know. I mean, you're asking me.
I have a real and please don't find any insult in this. It's just
no. I mean,
I have a real problem with the word interdimensional.
We have this discussion a lot, Maxim. It's like, what exactly do you mean?
What do you mean?
The only reason why I said, the only reason why I said I don't know is during one of our discussions about this one day, I brought up the time that I truly believe that I saw a UFO, and it was kind of like diamond shaped, but it showed up and then disappeared within so I don't care where they're coming from. They can move. So I mean, it reminds me of Star Trek when they just all of a sudden hit over warp speed and just boom, gone. And I'm like, that's what it reminded me of when I saw it, and that was back in the late 80s. So I mean, it's been a long time, but
let's face it, all of us. You know, I don't know your background, but I mean, I know I'm handicapped. I mean, I don't have a background in biology or chemistry or nuclear physics or any of that stuff. You know, and if I did, maybe I'd be able to explain a dimensional theory or the string theory. That the string theory, that I think there's 10 of them, that explains everything. It's just a theory, you know. I mean, you can't explain it with 1 or 2 or 3 string theories. Well, how about 10? 10 will do it. So, you know, they're talking about this, but again, I don't understand it because it's not my backyard. You know, I'm more into like psychological mechanisms for believing. For example, even in Sasquatch, we talk about the when you see things, I'm blocking, when you see something that isn't really there, the
pareidolia,
that the mind, the psyche strives for homeostasis. It strives for balance. And if there's a gap there, for example, if you're like the guy that got zapped in, I think it was Arizona, he was climbing the tension thing, and he got zapped, and there's a block, there's a gap there, and he talked about being abducted. And again, what happens is, though, when there's a vacuum, we confabulate, we make things up. and we fill in that gap. So, you confabulate, you make up these hypotheses and these theories that work for you to keep that balance. So, so I don't know. The mind is a wonderful thing. It's a powerful thing. We don't know, as you know, we don't use, the brain's full capacity. But the one thing I do want to say is that we are stronger and more powerful than animals, only because we have more of that DNA, and more is better. We can think faster. We have more cognition and more spirituality, and that's what sets us apart from the animals. And in my book, Paranormal Apocalypse, I talk about the motion picture The Last Man on Earth with Vincent Price, which I think is one of the best apocalyptic sci-fi movies ever made.
It's a great one.
Yeah, I love it. It's so good. And in the book, I have a picture of him with a stake. He's going around getting the zombies to kill him. But he calls these zombies that have come to life, he calls them freaks. And he's there at the end. He's at a church, and he gets speared in the side. And as he's dying, Christ-like, he calls them freaks. He's proud to be a human being, to be a man, and to die like a man, not like a freak.
You freaks, all of you freaks, mutations. Hold it! You're freaks. I'm a man. The last man.
And I talk a little bit about H.G. Wells, The Island of Dr. Moreau. And, are we not men? Do we not walk on 2 feet? All this stuff. I mean, it's just great if you can take science fiction and make it make sense. And man, I go to town with The Last Man on Earth because I love it. So Vincent Price is probably the best thing he ever did. It was
The Island of Dr. Moreau was kind of a weird book for me.
And
it was something else. The movie was awesome.
And listen, and as a religious guy, back in I think the 30s when they did The Island of Dr. Moreau, they were very critical because here man was acting like God.
I'm sure,
yeah. So you can't do that. You're violating a rule there. So yeah. But
so one of the great things we have about the rundown is this breadth of ideas and the way that we think. So we actually do have like our resident smart guy, Vic, who likes to stay humble, but he's like Mensa level, super smart, knows all the science stuff. I dabble. So, but I'm the guy who does stuff. Father Mike's the guy who gets rid of bad things. And, and so we do talk about the science of this stuff a lot. And the dimensions is one thing that we always seem to bump up against. And I don't think any of us are super comfortable with this multidimensional theory of, things coming back and forth. Not that it's not possible.
No, I've never said
just
that.
Haven't heard it in a way that makes a whole lot of sense yet.
Yeah.
Well, and one of the rules.
One thing, and I'll hand it to you, Vic.
I apologize.
When I think of the complexity of traveling the star system, right? And there was actually, I haven't read it yet, but I saw an article that said they've come up with a new design for an actual what may work as a warp drive this week. But the idea that we could do that being too far out there, but that we could cross an actual dimensional barrier, that seems as complex, if not more complex, than what it would take to go faster than light. There's some massive technical achievement there that allows you to accomplish something significant, whether it is warp drive or bridging dimensions. And
that's
what I said about the wormhole thing is I don't even know if you've got to bridge a dimension to
Right.
go from wormhole from one place to another.
That drive
I
is
wonder. I wonder. Excuse me. I wonder if time travel or something that's akin to time travel or something that we would call time travel fits into this discussion. That if we could go back a couple of clicks to what we were talking about, say 3 seconds ago, there's another dimension. I mean, we were different back then than we are now.
Than we
were
are
talking
now.
about different things. So, or maybe 3 clicks into the future. So maybe, there's a timeline. Maybe there's like all these little clicks that are representative of dimensions. And maybe, just maybe, some people might have the ability to go from one dimension to another. Maybe not a rapid distance, but maybe just like microseconds.
So the idea of a dimension being a context, not necessarily a completely different structured thing.
correct.
Yeah,
That's interesting.
Yeah, that kind of makes sense, I think. But again, we don't know. I'd like to, certainly, look at that more because I mean that's the exciting thing. That's the interesting thing, and I think we need to go and that's what I would like to go and take a look at. But
What were you going to say, Vic? I'm sorry. I know I stepped on
That's
you.
okay. No, I was going to say that's where Annabelle lives.
Oh, that's right.
Annabelle. Oh yeah.
Not the doll. There's a character
Yeah.
on my
Right.
my personal podcast called Annabelle, and she lives 52 Planck time lengths in the future. So she can see this dimension. She can kind of interact with it, but you can't see her. So can I ask you 2 questions?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
You were talking earlier, and I'm going to change topics here. I hope you don't mind. You were talking earlier about how your current favorite topic is demonology.
Yeah.
Okay, and at the same time, you were talking about how a great deal of your life experience is based around treating addictions, dealing with addictions. I worked in inner city emergency departments for about 12 years. And man, did we ever see the addictions. And it doesn't take a great deal of sensitivity or very long to sort of realize that, man, this human is very much in the process of becoming something non-human.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, where the standard, human characteristics, connection to other people, love, this sort of thing are just totally going away because of these drugs. And while I was in these hospitals, I saw things that I can't classify as being anything other than demonic. As you were dealing with these addicted patients, did you ever encounter anything that you felt was part of the demonic realm?
Great question.
Yeah. First of all, the professionals don't like to use the word evil. They like to use the word personality disorder and, sociopath and psychopath and all that. Even with Ronnie DeFeo and the 23-year-old in Amityville, when he took that rifle and killed his father, killed his mother, killed his 2 sisters and his 2 brothers, they said he wasn't mentally ill. They said that he was a personality disorder. And as what you were saying, Vic, he had no compassion or empathy for his fellow humans, and he needed instant gratification. So here was a guy that was doing heroin. He was prescribed Thorazine. He was on meth. He was a rich kid. He walked around with thousands of dollars in his pocket, drove fancy cars, and did all that stuff. But I mean, he was a hedonist, but they wouldn't call him mentally ill. And one of the things, he claimed that a demon made him do all these shootings in Amityville.
Right.
So again,
Yes, it did.
I read that book, Amityville Horror, twice. I read the other book, High Hopes, which was the prosecutor. And they were trying to get him. They didn't want him to use that defense that that demonic possession thing. But it's amazing that Amityville is the story that has just captivated us. We just can't believe that a child, a 23-year-old kid, would go and murder his family like that. And again, we just can't we can't get away from it. There's been more books and motion pictures written about it. When they left, it was George and Kathy Lutz who went into the house for, I think it was 28 days, and claimed that the demons chased them out. And so right after that, George Lutz's attorney claimed that over a couple of bottles of wine, they made the whole thing up. But consider this, I dispute that. The Amityville Horror is a moneymaker. I don't care what you write about it, how you slice it, whether you want to say it was that you contrived it or that you were part of it or whatever, it's going to make money because it has a market. So that's what they did. And no, I think it actually happened. In my book, The Schmerl Haunting, I talk about the connection between houses that have that demonic infestation, whether it's Amityville, the Schmerl house, which is the subject of the Conjuring movie and my book, the Wells house in northeastern Pennsylvania, and also the Hinsdale house that was in New York. That was the one that some of these exorcists could not cleanse. It was just there was something demonic there, and Father Alphonse Treble, who was able to go and cleanse the Schmerl haunting. It took 4 exorcisms, but he couldn't do anything with the Hinsdale house. He said some places are just pure evil. You just take your possessions and leave. Don't tell anybody where you're going, and you go. And that was one of them that he believed was just filled with it. He said it was a road to hell. So, but when they talk about demonic infestation, they talk about demons being able to infest either people, places, or things. So it could be the Annabelle doll. It could be people like Ronnie DeFeo. It could be houses like the Schmerl house. I mean, who knows? I mean, but there seems to be a pattern. There seems to be a certain belief system in demonology, a pattern of temptation, infestation, and possession. And you were, I think, Michael, you were saying that a Christian can't be possessed. That's
the belief, but that is totally absurd. Yes.
Okay. And why is it? Why do you say that?
Well, number one, the number one goal of Satan or the devil or whatever you want to call him is to destroy the creation of mankind. And who better to go after than a person who has already devoted themselves to Christ? Okay, well, how can I back that up? Well, why did Satan try to tempt Christ himself to destroy redemption, number one, and to destroy the humanity of Christ? So it is, a Christian can be so overwhelmed in the areas that you just described to the point to where they get so weak, and that is the goal of the enemy, to where they give in. And once they give in, then the door is wide open, and the enemy or the infernal have what he wants. The enemy already has the people in the world, those not of Christ. You with me?
Yeah.
He that's why the scripture calls him the God of this world. So his goal is to destroy anything that is of God. If you want to define the term evil very loosely, anything that is anti-Christ.
Right. Yeah.
That is evil.
Yeah, that's
so and when it comes to the demonic, you was talking about the infestations of a person, place, or thing. I mean, that is the goal of the demonic too. We got to understand their home is hell, right? And they don't like it there either. So if they can be a part of something or infest something, that makes them even more happy. For instance, when Christ drove out the the demons from the person, and they said, don't send us back. Well, number one, back where? To hell.
Yeah.
He said, allow us to go into these herd of swine. And so he allowed it. They wanted to infest something.
Yeah. I
to
remember
not go back to hell.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's a whole nother story.
The second question I had was back to the Smurl haunting. How did you come to write that book? What did you find fascinating about the story, and what can you tell us about it without giving away everything in the book?
No, I mean, you've heard the story before. You know, there was a book and a made-for-TV movie called The Haunted, and that was written about the Schmurl haunting back in, I think it was 1988. But West Pittston is right in my backyard. I live in northeastern Pennsylvania in Luzerne County. So this happened in the 80s. So I would take a ride up there and just hang out. I mean, be a part of the frenzy. I was a bit of a rubbernecker, but I thought, like the rest of the people, but I thought I was doing research. I was watching the frenzy. I mean, cars going up and down. I mean, teenagers, just a lot of crazy stuff, a lot of media people. And it was a real frenzy. I didn't bother the Schmurls. I did see Dawn at a bowling alley. I didn't go up to her. I just gave them their piece because I know they were pretty much under assault by the public and by the media. So West Pittston was in my backyard. I read everything I could about this Schmurl haunting. In 1988, I saw where Ed and Lorraine Warren were going to be in Jim Thorpe, Pennsylvania, and that's right up the road from York. It's nice little vacation, touristy place, and they're going to be there at the Victoria Mansion. So I wrote a letter to the owner, and I requested permission to go and interview them and all that. So I interviewed them. I took pictures. I hung out with them, and they were really great people. I kept in touch with them over the years, and I would call them up. I wanted to talk to Ed. I would just ask him specifically how he did battle with this, with demons. Lorraine had roosters in the house. You could hear the chickens in the background. But they were very nice to me. They were very respectful. I think they might have liked my energies or whatever I was coming from, but they walked me through this. And someplace I have my cassette recordings, and believe me, I have turned the place upside down looking for them. Yeah, I know, I can't find them, but
That's
anyway.
a painful thing.
Yeah, I know.
That is a very painful thing.
Yeah, they're here, but anyway, so that was that. But then that was two things. But then the third thing was this. Annabelle, the alleged demonic doll, was coming to Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. And that was in July 11th, 12th, and 13th. So Tony Spira, who was Ed and Lorraine's son-in-law, Lorraine had instructions that she wanted Annabelle to stay there in her box in Monroe, Connecticut, in the Warrens Occult Museum. And Tony Spira took it on the road. So Annabelle went to San Antonio. It went to West Virginia to the prison. Went to New Orleans, where over 3 days a whole bunch of crazy stuff happened, like the plantation fire, and the 10 prisoners escaped from the prison. And then I think there was something else. The voodoo queen, something happened at her place, but there were 3 things that happened. So people thought that just maybe there were some sort of demonic forces running rampant. Well, Annabelle showed up at Gettysburg, at the Gettysburg Orphanage, and the orphanage has a real storied past. The governess had a pit where she would put these kids. She had stick boys that would take these sticks and hit the little children, and just horrible, brutal things. So Annabelle was there on July 11th, 12th, and 13th. I paid $40 for me and $40 for my wife. Over the 3 days, there were 1,240 people. And Josh, get out your abacus. I mean, 1,240 times 40, whatever that is. That was a 3-day take. But here's the thing. I I wanted to see Annabelle, and I looked into her eyes. It was just a Raggedy Ann doll. There was nothing I felt of the demonic, nothing that scared me, nothing irregular. Annabelle was in this 5-foot wooden cage. It had the Lord's Prayer was tacked on the back. It was infused with holy water and holy oil. It had 3 crosses representing the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost. And there were the glass came from a church. I forget the story. I don't know if it was deconsecrated or what, but anyway. So there was Annabelle in this box. And I met Dan Rivera. Dan Rivera was the chief handler for Annabelle. Now, I like Dan. We hit it off great. We were hanging out. Dan was a former Methodist that converted to Catholicism. And I don't know if you've met any of these converts, but when they convert to Catholicism, they're just filled with the Spirit. I mean, they're just like awesome. You know, I mean, it's just like so great to hear this energy, and and everybody's talking God talk. You know, I mean that God will protect them and all this. Well, it was great. I took pictures. I have a picture of me and Dan Rivera in the book. I was supposed to interview Dan on Monday, July the 14th. I got a phone call that said one of the Gettysburg paranormal investigators had died, and here it was Dan Rivera. Dan died on Sunday. He died the day before I was supposed to interview him. Now, when I asked Dan Rivera about New Orleans, he said that it was just a coincidence, all those things happening. But when some of the people were saying with the Annabelle doll thing that they never should have taken Annabelle out of the Warren Museum up in Monroe, Connecticut. They should have kept her there. And I talked to the Psychic Vincent sisters, who they're a group from Butler, Pennsylvania, and they were saying that and I have a quote here. This is from Suzanne and Jean Vincent, the Psychic Vincent sisters. Annabelle carries a long and malevolent spiritual history that cannot be ignored. Her energy doesn't just haunt a space. It clings to people, slowly weakening their spirit and affecting their health, mindset, and very life force. Mm-hmm. And they believe that Dan Rivera over the tour, was close to this. Now, there was one camp that was saying, let's not talk about this. Let's let their family grieve. And I was thinking, well, the family's going to grieve. You will find your way to make peace, make sense of this, and find acceptance and do all this stuff. But people like the Psychic Vincent sisters, people like Ed and Lorraine's grandson, Chris McConnell, I believe his name is, were saying that it was wrong to take Annabelle out of the museum, that bad things could happen, and bad things did happen. So again,
do you know who the driver was on actually taking Annabelle on tour?
No, I know that Dan Rivera was in charge. There was Father Bob was supposed to be there. They claimed that a priest would bless the cage, the box. And that was supposed to be Father Bob. Well, when I was in Gettysburg, Father Bob was out of country. He was like in Argentina or someplace. I don't know where, but that's what they told me. So there wasn't a priest there blessing that. They said that Dan Rivera died alone in his room. That Annabelle was out in the truck locked up. That I believe the autopsy said that it was natural causes. Might have been a heart attack, but again.
Well, I mean, look, it's not going to be like a Chucky movie where Annabelle's crawling across the ceiling and then strangles Dan, in his sleep. Yeah. This is something that, is also like Robert the Doll. You have these dolls that have something that is truly evil attached to them. That I think is demonic. But I mean, it's you're at risk when you're dealing with those things. I was surprised that they took Annabelle on tour, but I think even Chris had taken it out to Zach Bagans' museum a couple of years before. The Warrens' grandson, is that right?
Oh yeah. Okay. Oh, Chris McCall.
I forget his name, but someone related ahead, and this was after Lorraine had passed, had taken, I believe, Annabelle out there. And I was surprised when that happened. I was surprised. Anytime Annabelle leaves that museum, I'm like, boy, I'm not sure that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of great ideas, I mean, why would you, it shocked me when you said this, but why would you take something that evil to a prison, number one?
Yeah.
And then expose it to another evil thing like a voodoo shop. That just doesn't make sense to me. But
that's like inviting. You're asking. Yeah.
Well,
It's all about the money.
Yeah, the answer is money.
Dave. Yeah,
but
It's all about the money.
But-
Again, it was in the Gettysburg paper, 2,420. That was the head count over 3 days. And I was there. I couldn't believe the lines of people. I mean, there was a frenzy. This was a big thing. You walk into this cavern, the Gettysburg Orphanage, and they were playing the music like the Gregorian chants, and it's almost like a purple haze there, and it's dark, and they have the T-shirts and the books on one side, and then Dan was there and some other people, and they would go and talk about this. They would talk about the power of Christ. A lot of this was God talk. A lot of this was God
That's
talk.
good.
So that was, but I mean, it was, it was good. It was, I mean, I'm glad I went. I'm sorry that it played out the way it did. I mean, it was just, and
it's a tragedy.
See, it used to be they wouldn't let Annabelle out when my wife, when Laura and I started doing paranormal investigations back in like 2010 or something. We went, I think in 2011, to Gettysburg to a conference called Phenomenology. And I don't know if you've ever been to that before. They don't do it anymore, but about 6-7 years they ran it. But it's a great big paranormal conference. They'd have all these people there. Well, John Zaffis was there, either our first or second year. And they had haunted objects there. I think he was in the middle of starting that show, The Haunted Collector. And so they brought examples, like an example of Annabelle, but not Annabelle.
okay, yeah, okay.
So they talked about Annabelle, they gave some history, but he's like, we wouldn't bring Annabelle with us. There's
That
just
makes-
too much risk in doing that.
Yeah.
It's a
With
bad
that-
idea.
With that being said, that makes a lot of sense. But with that being said, Dave, I just want to. I got to say this as a pastor and as an exorcist of 35 years. I want to say something to our listeners. Just because you can do something doesn't mean you should.
Mm-hmm.
If you go looking for evil, guess what?
Yeah.
I mean, what's the saying these days? Play stupid games, you're going to get stupid
Win
results.
stupid prizes.
Exactly, win stupid prizes. So,
And look, a lot of these people that are interested in the paranormal go to these events, a lot of them don't really believe in true evil.
right.
Right. So they may think of things that are negative haunts and stuff like that, but this idea that it could really, really affect you, they don't take that into account.
Right.
Some do, right? And people who have more experience with it do, but the idea that, I could be around a haunted object. Look, I'd go see it, but we've been hooked in on this stuff for years.
Yeah. But, that mindset is prevalent with some heroin users that the people that shoot up and die and overdose and die are just stupid. They're not doing it right. So, I mean, that's the mindset.
It's an addiction.
I could shoot up and I'm not gonna die. So
that is paranormal investigating to a T. It's just like heroin, right? When something goes crazy and really interesting things happen, it is something you don't experience in life. It changes how you see things.
Yeah, I'm curious about one thing. I have a friend who is a born again Pentecostal guy. He feels the Spirit. And he's a great guy. He's a fellow author, but he's constantly warning me about not getting too close. And I say, Dave, I'm just, I'm viewing this as an academic. I write about it, I research it. It's not that I practice it. It's not that I'm doing any incantations, asking for any special powers. I mean, so I don't do that. I mean, I consider myself a spiritual person, and
well, there's a big difference between you, for instance. There's a big difference between using wisdom in something and then just casually seeking it. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like, like yourself. I mean, Dave has a vast experience in paranormal things. He's been there. He's experienced pure evil before. So, I mean, there's a difference between investigating something and using wisdom toward something than to go out and look for something.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just like people that just on a whim want to go to a haunted place. There's real haunted places out there. And if you go out looking hard enough and not use wisdom, unfortunately, you're going to find it. And sometimes when you find it, it's not going to turn out to be a good result.
Yeah.
And from the time we started paranormal investigating, we've listened to people who gave us those same kind of warnings back then, right? Be careful.
Yeah.
Be careful which places you go to, right? You don't want to go to Hinsdale House, as an example, as your first paranormal experience.
Yeah.
There's a lot of risk there. There's nothing good at that house. And I've not been there, but
you've heard
I've heard stories, and anytime I see it, it just looks uncomfortable. But, you have to understand when you step into that world, you are opening yourself up.
Exactly.
You are at risk.
And
you've got to
for
be careful.
God's sake, please don't pick up an object from one of those places and take it home with you.
That's a bad idea.
But we're living in this day and age where there's a lot of young people that are ghost hunters, and they go to these abandoned mental institutions, whatever, looking for demons, looking for something. I mean, at some point, if you're open to that, if you're open to that, I mean, I think you could connect. I was, let me see, it was April. I was invited out to the Butler, Pennsylvania Paranormal Conference, and that's where I met the psychic Vincent sisters. So they were talking, and there was a guy there in the front row, and he was a ghost hunter. He didn't belong to a group, but he was a solo guy, and he showed these pictures. He said during the night he was attacked by a demon, and his eye was like gouged out, and he had claw marks on his chest. And the psychic Vincent sisters believed that he had been not possessed, but I think there was an attachment, a demonic attachment, and they were, they talked about, the crucifix and holy water as the only fix. But I saw those pictures. He showed those pictures, and it was pretty scary. I think that something happened there, but it's almost like be careful of what you wish for. And with all these people that are out looking, I mean, you're bound to, I guess, find something.
Well, and that's what happens is if people do it enough, eventually they run into something that is stronger than they ever expected to run across. And then they either drop out of it, and sometimes their lives are left in a shambles, or they, in my case, they build their faith. There's that way out of it. And in some cases they change how they do things.
In some places
they avoid those places.
In some cases you get a will. Someone who's had tremendous long-term problems with this.
Yep. That's
okay. Right. We're about an hour.
I did, Vic, if I could, I just want to circle back to answer your one question. like 15 minutes later. But you were asking about, evil and being connected with addiction. And I know that with heroin addicts, it seems like, I've always called that the zombie drug, that heroin, at a certain point, it makes you feel good and feel euphoric and all that, but it drains you, it taps you. It's like a vampire. And they reach the point where the only way they could get energized is to use that heroin again. And I've seen that look, that where they're becoming less and less human and more dependent on the drug. And then I knew there was one individual that was a long-term alcoholic that had this look. I mean, he had eyes, like dead eyes, like a shark. He had that look. It was almost like, in psychological terms, he was almost like a sociopath. That no empathy, no remorse, no compassion, no anything. He was dead. There was no connection, and he was really pretty much a scary guy. And in these recovery houses, they try to get people to connect with a group or a higher power to get them out of that egocentric state, because that's all it is. It's just them and their drug. My only connection to you is how I can use you to get more of the drug.
Correct. Right.
So it's, it's that.
All other humans are tools.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So, but anyway, I just was thinking about that guy, and he, whatever. It's just, for anybody out there who is, suffering from any of this stuff, there's places to go for help, whether it's addictions or depression or whatever. There's no need to go through life without feeling joy. And, one of my joys is being on podcast and talking about the paranormal. But, I do it without depression and without, some of the other stuff. But again, if there's anybody out there that's listening and is just feeling, down a little bit, there's places to go for help. So
if you don't mind, let me ask you a question. And for someone like me, after 35 years that I mentioned, I've learned one thing is that I don't know really anything.
Yeah.
And I'm always looking for more wisdom. And that's why I surround myself with these gentlemen. When it comes to things like heroin, and I don't want to use the terms heavy drugs, but you understand what I'm
Reasonable
talking
term.
about. But when it comes to things like heroin and meth and any kind of hallucinogenic or something that eventually takes over your soul, and that's, in my opinion, that's what it actually does, because it eventually takes over your mind, your will, and your emotions, in which we know that is the soul of man, not even to mention the physical part. In your experience, where is the fine line that it goes beyond and I hate to use this, a normal user, to, I believe it's all demonic, but to a greater demonic level that it owns your soul, to where like meth is crazy here in West Central Georgia. It has grasped the soul of man to where they are, just
it's powerful.
It's powerful, but all at the same time, it's heartbreaking. And to the point to where even grade school kids are even, it's just crazy. So I would like
meth is bad news.
Yeah.
And
I want to show you this card from, I know your viewers can't see it. I'm looking for the date here. God, it had to be the 90s. I don't know, but I don't know. But anyway, this is your brain on drugs, plain brain and brain after ecstasy. So here's ecstasy, MDMA, ethylene deoxymethamphetamine, right?
Right.
And what they did was, National Institute on Drug Abuse, National Institutes of Health. What they did was they did these studies, and what they did was they used methamphetamine instead of ecstasy.
Ecstasy. Wow. Okay.
They didn't use ecstasy. They used methamphetamine, which is a neurotoxin. It goes and destroy pieces of the brain, neurotransmitters, synapses, and all that. So methamphetamine is a very dangerous drug, and law enforcement talks about these tweakers. They don't get high anymore. They're coming down.
They're constantly trying to reach that level again.
And they can't. They can't. And they can't. Probably can't even get high again because everything's burnt out. So
for the listeners, what Maxim was showing was like a functional MRI type of picture, right, where the brain's all lit up normally, but with the on ecstasy, it was very, very dim, a lot less brain activity.
Yeah, exactly.
And you say they actually used meth to take that picture?
Yeah, they found out, and I keep this here. As one of my, I have two things that are memorabilia. This is one of them. The other one is a poster, an anti-drug poster with Janis Joplin, Kurt Cobain, Jim Morrison, and River Phoenix. Commander Morrison wanted them to go and pull that because he didn't want his son Jim Morrison of the Doors to be associated with drug use. Well, Jim was the biggest alcoholic of them all, and and too bad. He had a talent, and he'd go there on stage and get drunk and say stupid things. So he was just out of control. But when
I was just going to laugh because as I'm listening to the names you're throwing out there,
and then River Phoenix.
It's not heroin that killed it's alcohol. What took all of them.
Well, Janis died of heroin. River, it was heroin and cocaine.
Was Janis heroin? Okay, but she was a big alcoholic too. That was a real big. Okay,
and Jimmy was LSD, wasn't it?
No, Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah.
No, I think it was barbiturates, and he choked on his vomit.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Isn't that group of people you mentioned though most of the 27 Club?
Yeah, they are. Yeah. I know. They all died at age 27.
Yeah. All these people who died at age 27.
Yeah. Well, when I hear it, I'm reminded of the old song. I think it was the Righteous Brothers. What is it? Rock and Roll Heaven?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Welcome to the Paranormal Rundown, Maxim. We just officially hit a rabbit hole.
Oh, God. Well, it's all the same, right? It's all the same ball of wax. It's the same, vibration. It all leads
just
to the
different
same
angles.
Yeah, exactly. I think Dalai Lama was the one who said that all roads lead to the same place, or there's different roads that lead to the same place, something like that. So, yeah.
Well, do we want to, Vic? Do you want to try to pull a traditional rundown list? We'll go through one of them, and
if Maxim doesn't mind, I'd like to do a rundown list.
How you doing on time, Maxim? You still doing good?
We're good yet. I guess we're going to go until 9. Does that sound good?
We'll go until you're ready to not go.
Okay, good. Okay,
we'll go until you're ready to not go, right?
Okay, good. Okay.
Okay, so now we enter the Paranormal Rundown phase of the program. We've been holding it in abeyance.
It's been great.
This is all the kind of conversation we have on the Rundown anyway. The list is just an idea generator, pretty much.
I want to say that you have a great crew, and I'm really impressed. You just keep it going, and kudos.
Well, thank you, sir.
How long have you been doing this?
3 years.
3 years. Yeah. This will be the beginning of the third year.
Yeah.
And Father Mike has a podcast called Ending the Curse. I have a podcast called
Beginning. It's in work.
Yeah. I have a podcast called Trailer Trash Terrors. Which is
don't let the name fool you. It's great.
Which is a bizarre name. Okay. Hitting the F9 key to bring up the best possible topics the Paranormal Rundown has out of the 2778. Okay. Okay, here we go. Topic 1, Mike the Headless Chicken.
Okay.
Topic 2, Kitchen Witchcraft. Topic 3, The Doomsday Clock. Topic 4, Horror films, both bad and good.
Doomsday Clock.
Okay.
Great.
You want to hear the other two, or just we're gonna grab on Doomsday Clock?
Well, we could just we're gonna do several, right? Is that
yeah, we can do as many as you want.
Okay, okay. Doomsday Clock.
Yeah,
what else you got?
Oh,
I mean, how do you do this? Do we talk about the Doomsday Clock, then go to?
So what we do is he throws out 6 of them, and then you pick one, and that's where we start. And then if we want to go to another one, we can, or we just again wander through topics. So. Okay,
yeah. Well, the Doomsday Clock, I have a bit of that in Paranormal Apocalypse.
Really?
And
awesome.
Like how is it going to end? Well, some people say that it's like 19 seconds to midnight. These scientists got together. I think Oppenheimer was one of them, and I'm trying to think of all the people that put this thing together. But they look at what's happening in the world with maybe things like Russia and Ukraine, North Korea. I don't know what's happening with Iran currently, but anyway, they look at that and it sounds like we're close, and then we pull back. So right now, we're pretty much not with the Doomsday Clock. We're not really concerned about nuclear winter and a war, but they now have incorporated climate change and pandemics and all that. So they're also looking at that. So again, when you look at that Doomsday Clock, there's a lot of reasons to be concerned. And, we need peace, and we need to go and take a look at Mother Earth as Sasquatch represents, the protector of the environment. We need to do a better job with this planet Earth. It's just sad what's happening. And this is the legacy we're leaving to our children's children and their children. And that's a sad thing, and the problem with this is, and this is political, but, it's hard to go and get a common sense take on climate change because you have so many studies where big corporations have given millions of dollars to these different organizations to do a study on climate change with the intent, with the expectation that the result will be that there's no such thing as climate change. So there's a lot of that going around. And so when you look at the Doomsday Clock, it's hard to get hard facts and evidence and everything else. It's just, I remember I read something just recently where there was a diver that went by, I think it was San Diego, into these very pristine waters and went down there, and right at the bottom she found some, like a Budweiser bottle or something. So stuff like that. And even, they go up to the Himalayas, the sacred Himalayas, and they find trash and fecal matter. And that's not from dirty Americans. That's from every single, rich person, in Asia and Europe and all over the world that goes up there. So, we need to do a better job. And the Doomsday Clock is just symbolic of how close we are to, nuking this planet. Just kissing it goodbye. So, I think we just need more environmentalists, and especially for guys like me and Vic, who are from Pennsylvania, we salute Gifford Pinchot, who was the 2-time governor of Pennsylvania, who, along with Teddy Roosevelt and John Muir, were the ones who were the protectors of the environment. Gifford Pinchot set aside something like, I think it was 170 million acres of land so that they couldn't be... but if you ever have a chance to go to Milford, Pennsylvania, and the Gray Towers, it is awesome. It's an opulent structure, as beautiful and as ornate as anything you'll find in Europe, and that's in Milford, Pennsylvania.
What are the Gray Towers? I should know,
that's his mansion. It was Gifford Pinchot's mansion.
That was Gifford Pinchot's home. Okay.
Yeah, it's just awesome. I couldn't believe it. Wow. Just great. We just went there, but Milford's a really nice touristy town, and Gray Towers is freaking awesome. You go there and you're going to thank me. So
yeah, we don't get political on the show, but when it comes to the environmental stuff, I'll say that the frustrating thing is that it's all politicized.
Yeah,
exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
And that's on both sides. This is not a one side of the issue, right? When you look at the environment is like the sky is falling and the other side's like nothing's happening at all. And it's this frustrating, polarized view of the world instead of just straight. It'd be nice to have well-founded studies that didn't have any political opinion baked into them.
Exactly. And that's what reminds me of, on the other side of the coin when it comes to the doomsday stuff. It sadly, it has become politicized, and so many people want to think of the worst case scenario, and this is this and this, and they have no proof to back it up. It kind of reminds me of, do you guys remember the 2K scare 2000 when everything was gonna just go to hell in a handbasket as soon as 12 a.m. hit,
To be fair, I worked a lot of those projects remediating code.
You did a good
job.
job.
There's a reason nothing blew up in 2000.
Right, it's because guys like you,
billions of dollars were spent.
Right, guys like you spent 100-hour weeks fixing these things.
Yes, lots and lots of money was spent to fix things so that elevators still ran.
Yeah,
it was actually a real problem.
It's not well known, but my father, Cedric Dankworth Smythe, was very instrumental in remediating the genuine horror that could have been unleashed on the world, had the Y2K programming bug not been properly addressed. So, as he is the temporal leader of the disembodied consciousness gang, he and his ethereal pals used their disembodied status to enter the actual circuitry and magnetic records of tens of thousands of critical machines worldwide. A bit was flipped here, a byte was augmented there, and voila, financial disaster averted. His goal was not to make the world better for humanity, but to avoid hearing the wailing and screaming of magnates who had lost their fortunes when the bug truly devastated the financial sector. Cedric Dankworth Smythe truly hates hearing the whining of overfed human moguls. Don't we all? You can drop him a well-deserved thank you note at feedback@paranormalrundown.com.
I was doing a presentation back home in Pennsylvania on my book, Co-Region Hoodoo, and this was during the fires in Nova Scotia. So everything was just smoked out, and they had warnings, danger to your health, don't go outside. So it was a real bust, this presentation. So not a whole lot of people showed up, but I mean, it was fun. But that was part of the thing, that the environment.
Don't go outside. Yeah. What are we going to do? We're going to go outside.
That's right.
Well, one of the questions I've always had about the doomsday clock is exactly how do you define doomsday?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The super bad thing that's going to happen.
The super bad thing that's going. Okay, so let's just say we didn't get all the nuclear material that Iran had. Now in another bunker, they are doubling down their efforts just to make one bomb. And the idea is to plant that bomb. We're not going to try to send a missile. We're not going to try to send a bomber. We're just going to use a boat. We're going to get that bomb in the most destructive possible place we can put
right in the harbor in Manhattan.
Right in the harbor in Manhattan, or take it in on a cart in Moscow.
Mm-hmm.
It goes off. By the nature of the atomic remnants, within minutes they would know where the bomb came from. That
right.
It's not a mystery as to who set that bomb. Okay, well, I assume that within a few hours, Iran essentially ceases to exist. But is that a doomsday? It certainly is for everybody in Moscow or New York. Mm-hmm. But it's not the end of the world. I guess
I think of the doomsday, that midnight, to me, that is worldwide destruction.
Yes.
Right. Mm-hmm. I think unless anything short of an actual nuclear war or major pandemic that kills off 80% of the population or whatever, just massive death and destruction. That to me is whatever the doomsday is.
No, you both got it wrong, man. I mean, come on.
That's not uncommon.
It's the zombie apocalypse. I mean, you forget I'm from Georgia. I'm 20 miles away from
the
where The Walking
Dead,
Dead was. I mean, come on.
Oh, okay. The KT event where some meteorite hit the Yucatan Peninsula, and they were able to go and trace where it fell and look down and see, where exactly it went, how long ago it was. But it created that nuclear winter where everything was just blacked out, everything died off.
That would qualify.
The dinosaurs, and the larger birds. The only thing that survived were the small. Dinosaurs became birds, and it was the small birds that were able to go and escape. And
but
survive.
as far as the intention of the clock, we have a better chance of surviving that than we ever have. And that, if we've got enough warning, let's say we have 20 years warning, all you got to do is deflect it just some tiny little amount.
Yeah.
And then
Reverend Jim Jones said that there was going to be a nuclear war.
He did,
and he invited his folks down to South America, to Guyana, to Paradise.
And he imposed a very, very definite doomsday upon them.
He did, yeah. And these were lemmings that didn't do critical thinking. They just followed others. They didn't use common sense. They allowed themselves to be ruled through fear. And here was a good example of a man of the cloth who did that, who used the Bible and the words of God and Jesus to.
Vic did an episode,
and that's what I was about to say.
Tears, which was fantastic.
I think maybe
extraordinarily depressing, and I don't know if I would call him a man of the cloth.
I was going to say,
no.
if he's a man of the cloth, he had a very specific
and that's something
purpose.
I didn't know until I listened to Vic's episode.
Yes.
He literally was not a man of the cloth. He took on that title.
He started off as a minister. He learned from Father Divine of Philadelphia, black preacher that was very charismatic. And that's where he learned his stick. And then he claimed that he was part Cherokee. So he would tell his folks that he was black like them. And he would adopt Korean kids and black kids. And he was in Indiana, and they were pretty much chased out of town because, there were a lot of racists there. So he ended up in California, and then he just got crazier and crazier. Talk about meth. He was doing meth and everything else, but anyway, I was in Wyoming. I was in the woods of Wyoming. No TV, no radio, no newspaper, no nothing. And that was in 1978. And I came out of the boondocks, and the first thing I heard was this ritualistic suicide, like 900 people dead in Guyana. Dad Jones, Father Jones. Everybody took the Kool-Aid, or they were shot, or they were injected, but he killed himself with a gun. He didn't have the courage to do the same thing as his followers. But he was a horrible person. He was brutal. He had loudspeakers that would go and talk about him being a deity and being like, he wasn't no longer, he considered himself to be godlike, and just a horrible person.
Man, I had something I really wanted to say, but it's gone.
Did I overtalk it? Was I bad?
No, you can't do that. We forget stuff sometimes because we're old.
That's right.
It's just it's gone. It's just. Oh, I know what I was going to say. Have you ever seen the movie made about Jim Jones with Powers Booth playing Jim Jones?
Yeah.
Powers Booth is a better Jim Jones than Jim Jones was.
Yeah. He was good. Yeah, he had the dark complexion, those mutton chop. What do you call them? The sideburns.
Yeah, the sideburns.
The sunglasses. He had that image. Yeah, Powers Booth was good. Yeah.
So, well, I think you're all wrong. I think we're going to have. I think AI already has its hooks in every embedded computer that's ever been created.
But it's going to save us. AI is a good thing, Vic. Until it's not.
Well, for writers, writers can use AI to write their books. It's horrible.
It is horrible.
We're getting to the point where And I know a guy that's doing that, and he brags about it. I'm thinking, man, that's just like so dishonest.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's like,
that
I mean,
dishonoring your person. We don't do that. If you're a writer, you do the research and the writing. It's fun. It's joy. You don't need AI to do that. You don't plagiarize and you don't do that. I mean,
No.
I'd rather take that cyanide pill than to plagiarize or to be called on plagiarism.
If you're going to feel like you've actually written something.
Yeah, no, I'm if anything, I'm proud of my work and my research, and I think a lot of it's readable. I'm proud of that, and I think I have a really good assortment of books. But
you had to pull that out of your soul. And
that's right.
I mean, you pull it out of your soul with effort. It doesn't generally come easily. Sometimes you get some ideas and thoughts that go together very easily. But for something book length or longer, you've got to rip that out of your soul.
I think, but what it is you get into that gap, you get into that vibration, and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And it's
Exactly.
maybe like an obsession, a compulsion, call it a habit, an addiction, call it whatever you want, but it's positive, and it's me being me, and me being the best me, and me being what I want to be, and me being, that sometimes my wife doesn't understand. But I mean, this is what brings me joy. This is what I like to do, and especially with here, this just came out a couple days ago. I mean, just to hold this book in my hand and say, I did this.
I did this.
I mean, just it feels good. It's like your baby, so.
Well, for me, it was kind of like a drug. I mean, that idea hit you, and then you would sit in front of your computer, and next thing you know, it's 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And you've had a blast, and now we just got to get Vic to publish his works.
Well,
one day,
me and Dave, one day, Vic.
One day.
What I find is where AI shines is it is one of the best research tools we have ever had handed to us.
True.
And now it's not perfect. It's not always accurate, but you can find out when it's not, right? As long as you just don't trust everything that it says. But boy, the amount of information you can find out very rapidly and get ideas. I mean, should you be using it to write creative stories? No, I don't think so. I mean, and I think that content, I don't think that content will ever shine as much as content that someone creates right out of their soul.
But you're right
I just
about
don't
the
think it will.
research part of it, though.
But as a tool for finding out information and tossing around ideas, asking questions back and forth, digging into a topic logically, thinking about it, it's really, really helpful.
It is.
Okay, we are 4 minutes to 9, which was our given deadline. I want to make sure that Maxim has a chance to tell our audience where they can get his books, how they can contact him, where they can learn more about him. Shamelessly plug yourself, please.
Yes.
Gee, I don't know if I could do that, but
And I'll put links in the show notes as well for that you've given me before. So
it has been great, Maxim. It
really has.
Pleasure,
Been a lot of fun.
Awesome time.
yeah, thank you.
Yes.
This is a great group, and I mean, I love the way you're doing it. I mean, there's a lot of personalities here, a lot of energy and information, and thank you so much. This is great. I mean, I've enjoyed this, like I know you guys, so. So my website is www.maximfurek.com, and you could check me out, contact me for an autographed copy of my books, or you could go to Amazon and do it. And The Schmurl Haunting, When Ed and Lorraine Came to Town, has just been released by Anxiety Press, and it's on Amazon if you can go there.
Anxiety Press. I like that.
I would say one last thing. Support local authors and bookstores and podcasts. Do what you can, because I think podcasts are just like an amazing vehicle that I can't thank guys like you enough for giving somebody like me exposure and giving me a platform to talk about my research and some of my ideas, including my interdimensional theory, whether you agree with it or not.
No,
Agreement not required.
I want some proof.
I know. Yeah.
There's never been an
Well, the
agreement.
next time I'm on, I'll do my due diligence and I'll talk about.
We certainly
definitely have you back.
We certainly want to have you back, and Maxim, I have to tell you, this group, we're family, and it is a family atmosphere. We love one another dearly, and we enjoy guys like you. You have been a breath of fresh air to us. I have got to say, this is one of the best episodes that we have ever had. I enjoyed myself immensely with you tonight, and it has been a pleasure.
Well, thank you, Father Mike. And you've given me an idea. I'm going to get some laundry baskets and put some laundry in the background.
Exactly.
Well,
Anyway.
that's how you know you have the man and not the image.
That's right.
That's right.
That's right.
That's right.
So,
Well, listen, continued luck with your program, and let's keep in touch. And and
Absolutely.
God bless you, and thank you so much for the blessing and for all that. I mean, and Joshua, good luck
Yes.
in your career, and it's all good. So
Well, before you go, Maxim, I have to ask, what's your next project? Do you have
yeah.
something else in
Good question,
mind that
yeah.
you're doing now?
yeah, I started to work on a fiction piece. It's called Florida Rapture, and it's about a motivational speaker that has all these adventures. And I'm trying to go and develop this and have the interaction with this character and his partner and his wife and his friend and all this other stuff. So I'm just trying to put it together and see if I could do that. And I typically write nonfiction, and but I've been playing with that, and I'm hoping that I could go and get into that, and that'll be my project. We're leaving for Florida in October, so that'll be my Florida project. And,
Okay.
Gentlemen, thank you so much. Have a good evening. And
Yes, sir. You too.
Okay, good.
All right.
Blessings to you.
Thank you very much. It was
Thank
great
you.
talking to you.
Okay, same here. Okay, enjoyed it. Thank you.
Absolutely.
All right.
Hello. This is Avalon Lee and Dankworth Smythe. Let's have just a few minutes of well-deserved paranormal rundown dungeon talk. Life is better with dungeon talk, and if you don't believe me, just ask my father.
Oh, Vic, I would like to be the first one to say something, if you don't mind.
I guess it depends on what it is.
Well, I would like to, once again, not being biased, but I would like to be the first one to say, welcome now, Maxim, Father Joshua Birdsong. And he was just ordained
Wow. Yeah.
a couple of weeks ago, and Josh is kind of the brain in the background at times. When we reach a topic, he does a little bit of research in the background and messages us in case we need any direction. So he's very valuable and loved by each of us, of course.
Yeah. Well, congratulations, Josh. And how does it feel to be ordained?
Feels good. Just still getting a little used to it.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, I it was kind of weird for me the other day, Vic. I used him as my confessor.
Whoa.
I was not sure how I liked that,
Oh.
but
I could
it
use,
was
I could
it
use
was
him,
one of those cases.
I could use him as my confessor without any concern at all.
Yeah.
Boy, that confessing within the same family, that kind of gives me a little concern there.
Yeah.
Have any of you seen or heard about the movie Weapons?
My son called me yesterday. My son in North Carolina, said, "Hey, Dad, tomorrow you got to go see Weapons." And I said, "Well, I can. I got all kinds of things scheduled all day long." and he said, "Well, you need to cancel them." So my son's very impressed.
Oh yeah, it's good. It's good. I like Julia. I think her name Julia Gardner. She was the rednecky chick in Ozark. And,
Oh yeah, I remember her.
frizzy hair. I mean, she's just like
Yeah.
a little piss pot, as we would say.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And she's great. And
she's the
all
one
the-
that took over the strip bar.
Right.
Yeah,
well,
right, yeah.
Casino.
yeah.
Casino. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean everything she did, she got away with. I mean, she's just like that. But in this motion picture, all the kids disappear from a classroom, and it happens to be her classroom, so they blame her for being a witch, and then it starts there, and the movie starts with George Harrison's "Beware of Darkness," and it's really just well done, level upon level. And I'm trying to figure out what's the plot, but it was well done, and go see it. But I think that it's about what we're talking about. It's about what we're interested in. So
Well, Christopher told me that there's I don't know, you're 3/4 of the way through the movie where you really have any idea what's happening at all.
exactly, yeah, it's great. Yeah.
Hello, this is Avalon Leanne Dankworth Smythe, signing off for this week's episode of the Paranormal Rundown. The Rundown is a joint production of the Gang of Nerds, which is composed of Dave Griffith, Father Michael Birdsong, and Vic Hermanson. Any media clips that appear in the show are used under the protection of the Fair Use Doctrine. All music you heard came from Lobo Loco, Smart Sound, or is simply part of the public domain. It brings the lads great joy to hear from their audience, so please write to them at feedback@paranormalrundown.com. Thank you for listening, and good night.